A very good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime News on TV1. Let's start off the news bulletin with a look at the stories that made it to your headlines this afternoon. Tissa Attanayaka granted bail. Parliament debates on the Diagama grounds. Far-right leader Norbert Hofer concedes defeat to Alexander van der Bellen. John Key resigns as New Zealand Prime Minister while Italian Prime Minister Matteo Renzi resigns after clear referendum defeat. Now on to your lead story this afternoon. The Colombo High Court granted bail to the former General Secretary of the United National Party, Tissa Attanayaka, who was in remand custody.
Tissa Attanayaka was released on a cash bail of 25,000 rupees and 4 sureties worth 500,000 rupees each. Court also prohibited Attanayaka from travelling overseas. The case will be taken up for examination on a daily basis from the 20th of March 2017. Tissa Attanayaka was remanded on 3 charges, including preparing forged documents in the run-up to the 2015 presidential elections.
Now in more local news, the following views were expressed at the Sri Lanka Freedom Party Balamandal meeting in Hakmana, Mathura.
President Maithripala Sirisena changed the governor of the central bank. He also provided a report on that. We made 11 recommendations. Under those recommendations, there is one which says that 100 billion rupees was generated in one day. This is the money of the innocent people, the money that was to be used to build roads for the people. The President has the recommendations. The President is awaiting the debate in Parliament. The President can see that even after it is passed, the actions will not be taken on a legal basis. He has a way to deal with it with presidential powers. He will not falter. He will enter that process. Since 1994, the leaders of the country are from the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. Why do we need another party? Look at those who are forming new parties. They yell in the morning and then at night they have their dealings. All this happens in the house located next to Water's Edge. That is where the discussions on destabilizing the party takes place. Even recently such matters took place. It was exposed as to who is helping whom. Everything has been exposed. That is why they have created a new party to split the Sri Lanka Freedom Party and placed the tray for the UNP.
Sri Lanka එක දෙකට කඩලා UNP එකට මේක බන්දේසිය තියලා දෙන්න යන්නේ. අද අපේ පක්ෂය කඩලා
They split the party and have formed a party with the symbol of a flower bud that never blooms. It is not a flower but a flower bud. They are trying to rally the Sri Lanka Freedom Party supporters around that. They created that party and then they must call the UNPs to also join. But they did not. They themselves are not from the UNP and they are attempting to recruit 2 million SLFP supporters. Who is this flower bud going up against? They are against the mother party. Mahinda Rajapaksa does not need to split the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. Chamal Rajapaksa does not wish to see the SLFP fade away. However, it was former Minister Basil Rajapaksa who was working since then to destroy the SLFP.
හැබැයි එදා ඉඳන් මේ ඩීල් එක කරේ ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂය නැති කරන එදා ඉඳන් මේ ඩීල් එක කරේ බැසිල් රාජපක්ෂ හිටපු අමාත්‍යවරයා.
Also, the following are the views expressed at 2 separate SLFP Balamandala meetings.
මහින්ද මහත්තයා ආණ්ඩුවේ වැඩ කරද්දී එක එක හාල්පාරුවන්ගේ කැපිලි තිබුණා අපිට.
When working in the government of Mahinda Rajapaksa, there were persons who were against us. Now there is no one like that. Vimal Veeravansa and Dinesh Gunawardena are the leaders and the MPs of their parties. Vasudeva Nanakara is also from a party that was elected with the greatest difficulty. Gamman Pilla is the only member in his party. They want to tie a knot with Mahinda Rajapaksa.
මහින්ද මහත්තයාත් එකතු කරගෙන ගැටයක් ගහන්න.
ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂය නැවත ගොඩනගනවා නම් අපි කළ යුත්තේ කුමක්ද?
If we are to rebuild the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, what needs to be done? We need to win the people in the village who are filled with democratic values. We have been vested with the task of winning back the intelligent people of this country. When there are setbacks, we need to prepare a program where we can move forward with the party.
ඒ පරාජයන් එක්ක අපි නැවත අපේ පක්ෂය ඉස්සරහට ගෙනියන්න වැඩපිළිවෙල හදන්න ඕනේ.
Meanwhile, the SLFP Minuwangoda electorate Balamandal meeting took place yesterday.
අපේ ආණ්ඩුවේ ඉන්නකම් හොරකම් කරපු මිනිස්සු දැන් පොහොට්ටුවක් කියලා මගුලක් පිහිටවගෙන
Those who committed theft have created something with a flower bud. You are aware of the former leader of this district. I am not sure if the former president was aware of how he left this place. It was on Facebook that we got to know that he was at the airport. Now he is like a big person. He is the first person to change the political course of this country. He is one who paves the way for the Pradesh Sabha members and chairmen to commit extortion, such as the persons who follow them. Now also in local news, the Minister of Health presided over an event to distribute school equipment to students in Darga town, Alutgama. School equipment was distributed to 600 students at Zahira College.
අපි අධ්‍යාපනයේ තියෙන වටිනාකම හොඳට දන්න මිනිස්සු. අපි ලෝකෙ කොහේ ගියත් අපේ අධ්‍යාපනය නිසා අපි බැබලෙනවා.
We are persons who know the importance of education. No matter where we are in the world, our education is accepted. I am the only person in the cabinet who have brought in many investments. We worked very hard for that. Bribes and commissions are taken from them and therefore they think twice before coming here. We need to speak to them in an honest manner. At the Economic Committee, around 21 investments that I brought in were passed. We will commence them in the near future.
මගේ ආයුධ විතරක් මේ පෞද්ගලික දසල 21ක් සම්මත කළ දුන්නා.
Let's now have a listen to comments made on the strike action that took place recently against the proposed increase in the fines for traffic offences. Around 50 to 60 deaths are reported daily. The government of good governance is strong and has a backbone. We wanted to increase the fine to 25,000 rupees. They demonstrated against that. We have requested the President and the Prime Minister to reach a decision in the Cabinet. Our stance will not change. What we require is to protect the innocent people in this country who have been battered. The deaths as a result of motor accidents exceed the number of killings during the war. Last year alone, police filed 50,000 cases of driving under the influence. In addition, another 49,000 cases were filed for driving without a valid license. These fines are not for the betterment of the people and not for the government. Is this wrong? There were protests across the country against the increase in tariff fines. However, we have spoken on the families that have been left helpless because of the drunk drivers. We never speak of the dark side. When the strike action was launched, I informed them that for it to be enforced, it needs to go through amendments and therefore it needs to be directed to the Attorney General and then passed in Parliament. The whole process will take about 6 months. The fines of excessive speeds overtaking from the left will be reviewed, but it will take another 6 months to a year to be enforced. Now speaking on Newsline this morning, Attorney at Law Krishmal Varnasuriya spoke on the proposed road rules in the country.
Now recently we saw the present government coming out with some very healthy road discipline rules, yeah, and all of us accept that we need some sort of discipline on our roads, because sometimes we have no choice but to drive erratically because everyone else is driving left. But now having brought these rules in, what did we finally end up doing? Some persons went out on a strike. Particularly those persons who, and I'm not saying this just as a user of a car. I have used public transport. I have gone to school in public transport, and still I try, as I said sometime back to you all, I try at least once a month to take my children by public transport just to show them that there is public transport. Now, those very people who break the law most of the time went out on a strike. And what did some responsible government ministers come out and say? No, don't worry, we have brought this regulation, but that won't be effective for another year or so, so why are you being worried? Is that the message that you want to get out there? But don't.
The Degama Mahinda Rajapaksa Stadium was debated in Parliament today.
This stadium is now in a dilapidated state. You have also made several statements in this regard as well. Firstly, it is not even 4 years since this stadium was declared open. How can a stadium that was created just 4 years ago reach such a state? Shouldn't the people involved be held accountable? What you do is allow for the fraud, theft and corruption to take place and then speak of it in meetings. But you never work to penalize those accountable. Because you have friendships. Most of the MPs and ministers in the government have friendships with those in the former government. There are friends everywhere. Persons who changed sides have even more friends. Therefore, the rogues are protected. I would like to know one more thing. Who owns the Diagama grounds? Who is in charge of its administration? Who is the board of directors? No one laid claim to that. I was vested with the divisional secretary. It was a land owned by the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. We have taken measures to reclaim it and have also prepared the respective cabinet paper on that. It will be rebuilt and it is now a property of the Ministry of Sports.
Now another local news, a 33-year-old from Gonaduwa Hena Dompe was the victim of a homicide. The victim, identified as Ajit Rangana, was beaten to death with a pole in Dompe. Police said that the victim had an altercation with his neighbour, and as it escalated, the latter had beaten him with a pole and killed him. Police added that the murderer surrendered to police thereafter and will be produced in court today. A 38-year-old father of two was brutally murdered with a sharp object in the Pusella area in Yatiantota. Locals said that he was assaulted by a group at around 1 this morning while returning home from a funeral of a relative. The victim of the assault was rushed to hospital where he was later pronounced dead. Now here's a look at some more local stories in brief.
A freshwater crocodile had entered a house in the Velel Gasveva area in Hambantota. According to our correspondent, the residents and the neighbours had captured the animal and handed it over to the Hambantota Wildlife Office. Thereafter, it was released to the Bundala National Reserve. The crocodile was around 10 feet in length. A group of the Hell Aramba village in Koswatta Kaluvargastan, located in the Kitulgama Grama Seva division, engaged in a demonstration yesterday. They demanded that compensation be provided to them after their lands were taken over for the construction of the Broadlands hydropower plant. The project coordinating office of the Broadlands hydropower plant arrived at the location and informed the residents that an opportunity would be provided for them to hold discussions with the respective authorities. The demonstrators dispersed thereafter.
Now, the Department of Meteorology forecasts showers or thunder showers may occur at most parts of the island after 2 p.m. It adds that misty conditions can be expected at some places in the western, Sabaragamuwa, central, north central and southern provinces. It goes on to say that there may be temporarily localized strong winds during thunder showers. The general public is requested to take adequate precautions to minimize damages caused by lightning activity.